get two of you out here, going to be the wedge. Guys, we already got a tether here, so I might as well utilize that.
What I like to use when a pulley doesn't have this feature is what's called a Bachman knot.
Between my anchor and my system, and I'm going to undo it first to show you how it works, and then we'll show you how to do it back up again.
A lot of body in the water and a lot of movement. I'm not saying don't go beyond that. I'm just saying you're making a conscious decision at that point.
Why is this boat, the boat that's leaning up against the tree, more likely to be? No airbags in it. What do airbags do for you?
Displace water.
They displace water and they hold the boat further up out of the water. So it makes it less likely to get down and pin on something. So if you have an option, put airbags in your boat. Makes your boat much safer, much less likely for this to happen. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things. Y'all have already been to the mechanical advantage segment. Good. So we're going to go to the other end of the mechanical advantage system, and we're going to talk about how you attach to the boat and how you manage the boat to unpin it. So let's think about what causes a boat to pin. If the kayak, if there's a rock at each end of the kayak holding it in place, that would be a bridge pin, okay? What other kind of pins are there? Vertical pin. How many of you have ever been a part of a vertical pin? So vertical pins usually happen with kayaks and tend to happen more with playboat type boats, but not always. The reason playboats tend to vertical pin worse than creek boats is they're more pointy on the end. So you go off a big drop and the boat dives in and drives into a rock and it sticks and the boat's stuck in that position, standing straight up. So a vertical pin would be with a boat like so. Come back to that. So let's go back to the canoe. So let's assume we've got the canoe pin. What are you going to have to do? What are you going to have to do? You got to access this boat to get out here and make some attachment to the boat, right? So how do I want to access the boat? Do I want to come in from upstream of it? Downstream. Why? Just like we talked about with the wedge thing. You're below the hazard and you're potentially in the eddy that the boat is causing. What's the problem with coming in from downstream? Whew, if this thing comes loose, now you're downstream of the boat. So, when you're deciding to go after a boat, look and make sure that boat is stable before you go after it. A lot of times, you just wait on it and do like this one and it'll just come out on its own, okay? But if you decide you gotta go, the boat is stable, pinned up against the tree, come in from downstream of it, and when you get to the boat, the first thing you want to do is find your exit option. Where are you going to go if this thing starts coming loose on you? Where would you go in this case?
Behind the tree.
Maybe behind the tree. This boat's going to have a hard time getting over there behind the tree. So if I can get behind that tree, it potentially can protect me from this boat. The next piece of it is when I approach the boat, I want to make some kind of contact with the boat and maintain that contact. I mean either visual contact or physical contact. Either watching the boat and make sure it's staying in one place, put my hands on the boat, but if I tie my eyes and my hands up, I've lost the ability to work on the boat, so I try to put my knee against the boat, feel what the boat's doing. Make sure that it's not trying to get away from me. And if this boat starts moving and pushing my knee back a little bit or wiggling around more, whoo, I'm going over here behind this tree and getting away from it. See what's going on, reassess, and then come back to it. So your safety is number one when you're approaching a piece of equipment. Is this a piece of equipment worth your life? So you got water flowing in here, you want to try to roll the boat so it rises up and dumps the water out, okay? So here's a real easy variation to give you multiple attachment points to your boat. So you're spreading the load pulling on the boat, you're rolling the boat and getting it loose all at the same time. Underline, come down and around your thwart. So what have I got now? I got 2 points of contact is all, and really most of the force is on this thwart. I want to transfer some of the force for pulling on this boat to the hull of the boat. The hull's structurally the strongest part of the boat. So the river's flowing to me. All I got to do is drop the rope in the water. If the boat's not pinned against the bottom, what's going to happen? The current's going to push the rope under the boat for me. Okay? So now I've got a rope attached here, around here, all the way around the hull. Put a handy figure 8 knot in it, and attach the line to your haul system that you generated earlier in the day. Now, look what happens when you start pulling on this rope. Rolls the boat over, dumps it away from the obstacle that's got it pinned. So now what have you got? You got a boat that weighs over 1,000 pounds in the water trying to go down the river. Your main line that you pull the boat loose with is going to be attached somewhere in the boat, probably not right at the end. So what else might you want to attach to the boat besides how you're pulling on it here?
Tag line?
How about a control line or a tag line? So the boats come unpinned. Instead of staying breaching the current where I'm trying to control all this weight, I turn the boat like it's designed to work. One person can hold this boat full of water in the current as long as it's turned lengthwise in the current. If you turn it across the current, 10 people can't hold it. But if you turn it long ways in the current, it's easy to manage. That's the way the boat's designed to work. That makes sense? Easy to handle. So you need a control line. I might suggest that you can attach the control line before you start pulling on the boat, because you may get out there and start jiggling around with the boat and bump it loose, right? Okay, so we've talked a little bit about attaching to canoes. Let's talk about attaching to kayaks. What are some possible options for attaching to this boat? What is part of this boat right now, even though I've stripped most of the outfitting out of it, what's part of this boat right now that might be an attachment option?
Seat.
Under the seat. How about if you make a basket sling on the boat?
I like that.
How simple is that?
I like it.
You like it? Now, you're making the assumption you can get to both ends of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
You can't always get to both ends of the boat.
Mm-mm.
But if you can, this is a way to do it. So one thing that came out in the last session that we did, they attached to the boat. There's no way to do a control line on this boat, so their attachment line had to be their control line as well. How could I make this attachment line work as my control line? If we're pulling on it like this, the boat's going to turn breach in the river, right? And all the flow is going to go against the boat. Let's make the assumption this piece of webbing is my control line. This is going out to shore, okay? This is what you're pulling on. How could I make this boat turn lengthwise in the river?
Yep, clip it to your anchor there.
How simple is that? Kayak, wrap the rim of the kayak. Somebody got a carabiner handy? Is that a potential point to pull it off? Is this structurally sound? Probably gonna be hard on the boat. Yeah, but the boat's already pinned. So is this an option? Yeah, maybe. That's one of the points for carrying the smaller webbing. You see I'm using this little 9/16 webbing instead of the full 1 inch. The 1 inch doesn't go under the cockpit rims quite as cleanly as the little stuff. I also like the little stuff. This is nearly as strong as the 1 inch because it's got a Kevlar weave in it. And I can carry more of it because it's lighter, right? So if I'm on a raft trip, I carry the big stuff. I'm on a canoe trip, I carry the smaller stuff. Because in this drill, if you use a polypro line or even a max grip line, you've got so much stretch in the line that you won't be able to capture your progress as you go. So you've attached two lines to one point on the front of the boat. You've returned these two lines back and around any kind of anchor point. A tree in this case, there are some systems to do it with webbing on a rock or whatever. We're just going to use a tree because in the east you've got a tree to work with. Have attached the lines. We're going to put a little separation, take the line on around the tree a little further. The tree's pretty thick. We're going to close it up a little bit. Y'all move down here just a little. Okay, so I'm going to pull on the line you're holding. Marcel, don't tighten up on this so we show what happens. We've got the boat pin down here, two lines attached to the boat, and I'm going to apply a vector force to the middle of this line. It doesn't matter which one, you just got to pick one and do it. So I'm going to do the top line. Watch what happens to the bottom line. Hold it tight, Chris. See that? Tighten it up, Marcel. All right, don't tighten up, Chris. Now tighten up. All right, hold them tight all the way. Here we go. How easy is that? Look at this. All I'm doing is with the two lines, the progress that I'm gaining with this line, and capturing with this line. Does that make sense? So progressive vector. How cool is that? It's so simple. It's actually, it's not something we invented. Sailors use it all the time. Les was telling me sailors use it on sailboats. It was actually came from years ago when they were pulling sailing ships against the docks before they had power winches. Okay? Super simple mechanical advantage vector. What I love about this is every time I show it, it's immediately what a group of people in a skills course go through. Because it's so simple. It doesn't take any equipment. 2 ropes, a couple of people, whoop, you're there.